I just want to get something straight real quick before I get started here. First off, before I go on vacation, I make an episode, and there's literally nothing to talk about, pretty much, I would say. Justin Haley was the last big news. The first day I am off doing my thing with my family, I get two big newses of NASCAR news. Like, what's up with that? And I jump to today, on Thursday, and there's a ton more that I got to talk about. I mean, what the heck is up with this? I couldn't have had this kind of news week last week. Seriously? How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin NASCAR. I'm your host, Andrew, a midweek edition today. Thank you for tuning in once again. I am back after a pretty lengthy vacation after I missed a ton of stuff. I've been so busy these last couple days that I've wanted to post stuff, and I couldn't have, and it just didn't work for me in this case. But today, I have basically, I would say, 3 episodes worth of news and things I have to talk about, so I have just a bunch. It's literally, I'm counting it, it's like 13 different topics that I want to cover today. So I better get into it, and that intro was already pretty long, so let's just go ahead and jump straight into the first thing. If you listen to my intro, I mean, you know how kind of frustrated I am that how the timing is. I'm happy there's news, it's just poorly timed, and I really hate that. But hopefully this weekend I'll catch up on all this news. Or maybe I should say I will catch up on all of it today, and then over the weekend I'll be like completely caught up and I'll just be able to get back on my normal schedule. That's the hope. First bit of news, kind of going in chronological order from the oldest news to this news that just broke today. First, Jim Pullman has been tabbed as Kyle Busch's new Cup Series crew chief for 2026. Jim Pullman right now is currently the crew chief for the championship winning team of Justin Allgaier in the NASCAR Xfinity Series on the pit box for that number 7 Junior Motorsports Chevrolet. And this is a good move in my opinion. You're bringing in someone new, someone from the outside, technically, to come crew chief for Kyle Busch, and maybe Jim Pullman will give Kyle Busch that spark that he needs to really ascend to a level and return to 2023 Kyle Busch levels, I should say. That was the last good year for Kyle Busch, I should say. He won 3 races and made the playoffs before he went on that all-time massive collapse at the end of that season, and just has never been the same for Kyle Busch. And I say sort of new and someone from the outside in a way. Jim Pullman does have some experience with Richard Childress Racing. I believe a couple years ago he was on the R&D side of things with Richard Childress Racing on both the Cup Series and Xfinity side of things. And then he also made some select crew chief appearances, I believe, for Austin Dillon after Justin Alexander missed a couple races. I believe also Randall Burnett might have gotten suspended for a couple races for Tyler Reddick. And another thing about Jim Pullman, too, is that he was part of the team that helped develop the first concepts of the next-gen car with Richard Childress Racing and NASCAR. So Kyle Busch's biggest weakness is he has failed to adapt to the next-gen car. He's not been able to adapt to it at all, maybe really since 2023 when he really went on that hot streak over the summer, but really couldn't get anything else going. Jim Pullman's a guy that really was one of the first guys to get his hands on the next-gen car. So that's a really big boost, and Kyle Busch was talking about it on some interviews that he really likes Jim Pullman and how he's kind of carrying this team and taking some new leadership, and he's already had a couple talks with Kyle Busch, and apparently Kyle Busch was also very involved in picking Jim Pullman to be his crew chief, so that's not something you see every day in NASCAR. But of course, Kyle Busch being a little bit older, a little bit more of an experienced veteran, being the cornerstone of the team, I guess it makes sense that he had some decision and some say in Jim Pullman being the hire for the new 8 team. So I really like this. The only really kind of pseudo question mark I have is that Kyle Busch is only going to have a 1-year contract going into next season. And if this 8 team does not fire off with a good amount of speed, at least through the first 9 races of the year, that's kind of like the sample size and like the window I'm going to give Kyle Busch to say, okay, did this hire work out? Is Kyle Busch and that 8 car back to form? That's kind of the window that I have for Kyle Busch heading into next year to say, and probably for him too at least, that should I look to go back here for another year, or should I go test my options in free agency where there's surely going to be more rides open and available to me? That's the big question I really have for Kyle Busch. And this is going to be an intense time. And Jim Pullman, same thing. Kyle Busch is only going to be there for 1 year, maybe. So this is a really big gamble for Jim Pullman. Now, I bet if this doesn't work out and Kyle Busch does leave, there's always the chance that Jim Pullman may just stick in that A car for a little bit. Richard Childress Racing might tab Jesse Love or Austin Hill to drive that car, or someone else, depending on who's available in free agency and silly season next season. So Jim Pullman could potentially stick as a Cup Series crew chief, but maybe anticipating that he doesn't really perform to the levels, I bet Jim Pullman would probably have a home at Junior Motorsports. He won a championship with Justin Allgaier. I mean, I bet Justin Allgaier would love to have Jim Pullman back, despite who maybe is going to be on the pit box from next year. So that's the first big bit of news. Jim Pullman is now the new crew chief for Kyle Busch for the 2026 season. I guess time will tell if this hire will really pay off. Moving on that same day, the first day I was on vacation, I was not very happy about this. But either way, Talkin Racing and Ram announced their first driver for their 4-truck team in the Craftsman Truck Series for Ram's return to NASCAR. Brendan Queen will be the full-time driver, or at least one of the full-time drivers in Talkin next season in that truck program. No number was announced, no additional information was announced. It's just Brendan Queen. He will be driving for Ram next season. This is very good news, I believe, for Talkin Racing. And there's been a bunch of rumors recently that Talkin may be looking to start a reality TV show with Ram and kind of get their brand back in NASCAR, kind of expose themselves a little bit more. I believe is kind of what they're going for. There's also been rumors that Tony Breidinger, a driver who has had moderate success in the ARCA Menard Series in her career, but has really struggled in this season, her rookie year with Tricon Garage in that 5 truck. But Tony Breidinger brings big brands like Raising Cane's and I believe Dave & Buster's as well. So that's a reason why she could be a part of Ram next season. There's been some rumors. Cleese McFarland as well, a.k.a. Garrett Mitchell, big-time YouTuber and just overall content creator. He's made a couple starts in ARCA this year. He's been a guy that's kind of been floated around as a potential guy to help kind of be a brand ambassador for Talkin and Ram. So there's been some rumors about that. But a thing that Talkin really needed, though, was a guy that could anchor this team, a really good driver, not a good brand guy. I think Brendan Queen, though, is a pretty good brand guy, I will say. He's really upped his brand as he's had so much success in the ARCA Menard Series. I believe he won the championship as well, so that's always good for your branding, that you have a ARCA Menard Series champion and really good short track racer and Brendan Queen on your team, a veteran of racing. So this will be very interesting. Brendan Queen, more experienced than most of the guys that he's going to be lining up on the grid against in the truck series. I mean, there's another guy that got hired to drive for Nice Motorsports, which we'll talk about. He got hired today, or technically he signed a contract today and it was announced today. Either way, Brendan Queen, a little bit older, has more experience. I think that Brendan Queen's going to do really, really well. He's already done pretty well in his limited NASCAR Xfinity Series starts with Talkin Racing, kind of filling up rides. He's actually been good enough, in fact, to finish out that season in that 11 car for the final 3 races. I believe he's going to be racing this weekend at Martinsville, so he's going to be a guy to keep an eye out for. And Phoenix next week, another short track. Keep an eye out for Brendan Queen. And his one start in trucks, I believe, was solid. It wasn't impressive, but I think I would say it's pretty on par with what Corey Day has done in that truck, at least in my opinion. So I like this move for Talkin. You bring in someone, again, who is a racer and not just a brand guy, and Brendan Queen is a great anchor. We still don't know who's going to be driving the other trucks. I've seen rumors recently that Christian Eckes might be going down the trucks to help anchor that team, which I don't agree with. I mean, he has a multi-year contract in Xfinity with Talkin, so I think you should keep him up there. Give him another year to develop. Daniel Dye could be another guy. Again, Tony Breidinger, Cleese McFarland. So many guys and girls, I guess, could be in those 4 Ram seats. And I expect one of those trucks to be an all-star truck. I mean, I don't know how much Talkin is really pouring into this, but you really need an all-star truck nowadays with guys with sponsorship to really come down and win races and get some money, put some money in the pockets, if you know what I mean. So, again, Brendan Queen, full-time in trucks with Talkin. We'll see how Brendan Queen does next season. Moving on, kind of getting more into the weekend. I believe this was Saturday this came out, but Casey Mears announced that he'll be making his 600th career NASCAR start at Martinsville with MBM Motorsports in the Truck Series. This will be Casey Mears' 600th overall NASCAR start. He's still looking for 600 career Cup starts. He'll be at, I believe, 594 by the end of this season after completing these final 3 races with that 66 garage, 66 teams. But Casey Mears will be going for 600 career NASCAR starts in the number 69 truck for MBM Motorsports. Great moment for Casey. He's been making a lot of starts this year, bringing a little bit of funding to Carl Long's team as well. So I'm really happy for Casey, guy that kind of disappeared from NASCAR, to be honest, for a little bit, but now has kind of returned and resurfaced a little bit. I believe Casey Mears actually did pretty well at Talladega, finished up inside the top 20, which is a really good result for that team and Casey overall, and his lack of NASCAR experience recently. But Casey's been pretty active in NASCAR these last couple weeks, this year, I would say. So good on Casey. Next year, he did say that he is more than likely open to going for 600 career NASCAR Cup starts. I don't think he has a deal in place, but he's actively working on it. In my opinion, it would probably be best for him to just return to MBM or Garage 66 for Carl Long's team, whatever you want to call it. That's probably where he's going to find it. I mean, Carl Long's seems like the guy that wants to give him a shot. He brings money to the table a little bit. So Carl Long, he's always going to be looking for that small team, open team owner. So he's going to be looking for that. So, yeah, good on Casey Mears. Hope he does well at Martinsville. He's going to be racing in the Cup and the Truck Series. I believe this will be his first time pulling double duty this season, and for quite a long time, it's going to be the first time Casey Mears is going to be pulling double duty. So good luck to Casey this weekend at Martinsville. Congratulations on making your 600th career NASCAR start. Moving on, in my last episode, I kind of recapped the round of 8 Talladega race for the Cup Series, the Yellowwood 500. If you haven't checked out that episode, go check it out, and I encourage you to, at least. It's a really good episode. I did a lot. That was my first day back from being on vacation. I thought I did pretty good. But here in this episode, I'm going to recap the Craftsman Truck Series and NASCAR Xfinity Series races that occurred at Talladega. The first time all 3 series were racing at one track in quite a little bit, actually, I believe. And another kind of interesting fact about this race is that, or this whole weekend, I should say, that all 3 series were on big network television. I mean, the Cup Series was on big NBC. The NASCAR Xfinity Series was on the CW, and then the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series got a surprise little appearance on Fox for that race. So this was the first time, I believe, since 2001. I believe I saw that was a stat that NASCAR and all 3 series were racing in the same weekend, and they're on big network television. So that was a very cool thing to see. Very cool stat to point out, I should say. But looking at the rest of the results, starting with the Truck Series, Gio Ruggiero and Tricon Garage picked up his first win of his NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series career. Started from pole, led 37 laps, and picked up the victory. His teammate of Corey Heim, his championship competing teammate of Corey Heim, finished in second. Ty Majeski, another playoff driver, in third. Dawson Sutton and Lane Riggs would wrap up the top 5. Tyler Ankrum, another playoff driver, in sixth. Matt Crafton, Corey LaJoy, Raja Caruth, and Caden Honeycutt, another playoff driver, along with Caruth, wrapping up the top 10. And then you got Chris Wright for McAnally Hilgeman Racing in I believe it's a 5th truck, the number 16 truck, got an 11th place finish. For once, he didn't crash the truck. Tanner Gray in 12th. J.J. Yaley in his return to the Truck Series led 3 laps, finished in 13th. Connor Mozak and Spencer Boyd would wrap up the 14th and 15th positions. Looking at some other finishing results, Josh Rayum in the 2 truck, his own team, finished in 18th. Andres Perez for Nice Motorsports finished in 17th in the 4A4. Frankie Muniz in his return to the Truck Series finished in 20th. Chandler Smith, I believe, is a playoff driver still. Maybe. I think he may have gotten eliminated. Sorry about that. Looking at some other guys, Brett Holmes in his return to the Truck Series after starting 9th in a pretty cool opportunity for Tricon Garage, a guy that was, for most of his career in the Truck Series, running his own team full-time and actually had to sell his team because it wasn't profitable anymore, I'm guessing. Just wasn't making a profit. It wasn't economically viable for Brett Holmes. But first race out, just tough result for Brett Holmes. He started 9th again. Looked like he was shaping up to have a good day. Great opportunity, but ends up at 28th. Some other guys down the order, Hemrick and Grant Enfinger, both finishing outside the top 30. 2 playoff drivers, did not need those days at all. So looking at that, that is the results from the Talladega Truck Series race. Looking at the standings now for the Craftsman Truck Series playoffs, if my screen will load, Corey Heim is locked in, obviously, to the championship four. He's the championship favorite at this point. Now, Raja Caruth, Tyler Ankrum, and Caden Honeycutt are all above the cut line now. Caruth up by 14, Ankrum up by 8, and then Caden Honeycutt is the last guy in, up by 5. With Ty Majeski being the first guy out, 5 points out. Lane Riggs, 6 points out. Daniel Hemrick and Enfinger both out by plus 30 points. Realistically, if one of those guys want to make it to the championship four, they're going to need to win their way in at Martinsville. For playoff drivers specifically heading into Martinsville, I'm definitely keeping my eyes on Lane Riggs, his dad, Scott Riggs. Very good short track racer. Lane Riggs himself, before jumping onto the NASCAR scene full-time, was a very successful short track racer, I believe in late models, Could be wrong about that, but Lane Riggs is a very good short track racer. I believe made his debut at Martinsville with Calling in the Xfinity Series a couple years ago. I could be wrong about that, but Lane Riggs is a very good short track racer, so he's a guy to be watching out for. But Caden Honeycutt, for Halmar Friesen Racing in the 52, came over mid-season, is now above the cut line, so that's very impressive for Caden Honeycutt, who is still searching for his first career victory, and Ankrum and Caruth both above the cut line as well. So there's a look at your Craftsman Truck Series points and finishing results from Talladega. One other note from that Truck Series race, Norm Benning, driving for his own race team, the 6 truck, had a big fire break out under the hood of that truck. Scary scene. He was luckily able to get out of that truck okay down the back straightaway. I believe he blew an engine heading into turn 1 and 2. Scary situation, and luckily he was able to get out of his own truck. But I know that as a team owner, a self-employed team owner, he's not going to be happy about having to replace an engine. Just wanted to come out and have fun and blows an engine. He can't be happy about that. Scary scene nonetheless. Glad that Norm Benning is okay. Now moving on over to the NASCAR Xfinity side of things. The obvious statement is that Austin Hill dominated this race once again. His 10th NASCAR Xfinity Series Super Speedway victory, increasing his record over guys like Dale Earnhardt and Tony Stewart for that record on Super Speedways. 10 wins is insane for Austin Hill. I believe he led the most laps. He also swept the stages as well. So this was a just overall dominant performance by Austin Hill. He is just so good at these races. It's almost annoying. Looking at the rest of the top finishers, Carson Kvapil and Justin Allgaier, 2 Junior Motorsports teammates, finished in 2nd and 3rd. How about Christian Eckes? Mentioned him just a couple minutes ago, finished in 4th. Then you got Cesar Baccarella for the 5 car of Alpha Prime Racing, a part-time team, finishing in 5th. Blaine Perkins for Jordan Anderson Racing, returning to a track where he actually flipped down the back straightaway a couple years ago, finishes inside the top 10. Parker Retzlaff, native Wisconsin driver, shout out to Parker Retzlaff, finished inside the top 10. Same for Leland Honeyman Jr. in the 70 car for Cope Family Racing, another kind of small team, gets the top 10. Sammy Smith and Jesse Love as well, finished inside the top 10. 2 playoff drivers needing some good days. They got that there. Jesse Love as well. I believe he led the second most laps with 19, only behind his teammate of Austin Hill. Man, those RCR cars, yeah, they got this plate racing stuff figured out. Nick Lietz in the 07 for SS Greenlight Racing, another small team, finishes inside the top 15, along with his teammate of Garrett Smithley in the 14 car. 2 really good days for that small team. Harrison Burton in 13th, recently announced he will be leaving AM Racing, finishes inside the top 13 with a 13th finish. Josh Williams in the 45 for Alpha Prime Racing in 14th, and then Kyle Sieg for RSS Racing finishes inside the top 15 in the 28 car. Some other notable names: Joey Gase in the 53, his own team, finishes inside the top 20. Same with his other car, David Starr, finished inside the top 20 as well. Looking at some other guys, Nick Sanchez, a playoff driver, top 20, not what he wanted. And Connor Zilisch as well. Connor Zilisch coming into this race since the spring Talladega race, when he missed it, and Texas as well, had a consistent streak of finishing inside the top 5 and leading a lap in all those races. I believe it was up to like 15. That streak was finally broken. Did not get a top 5 finish, or at least a top 10, I would say. Finished all the way down in 23rd position after starting in 7th. Man, Connor Zilisch just may not like Talladega. This might be one of his worst tracks, and I hate to say it, but he was good at Daytona, so I guess Connor Zilisch just doesn't like Talladega, I guess. Eric Almirola in 24th, recently won that 19 car into the Owners' Points Championship at Phoenix coming up. Brandon Jones, another playoff driver, in 26th, not what he needed. Looking at the rest of the order, Taylor Gray, I believe, is in the playoffs. And then Sam Mayer and Sheldon Creed, two Haas factory Fords in the playoffs, finished outside the top 30. Not the days they needed. And speaking of Brendan Queen, finishing 36th in that 11 car for calling. What did I say about Brendan Queen? All jokes aside, one other note before we move on to the standings. William Sawalich finished in 30th after starting on the front row, led a couple laps. Scary impact with the outside wall on an early wreck. Finished 30th once again. Actually had to be transported to a local hospital for further evaluation. Was released, I believe, after that race on Sunday, but it was announced earlier this week that he will not be competing this weekend at Martinsville due to concussion-like symptoms. And he put out a statement saying that he's really disappointed about that, but prioritizing his health over that and is ready to go back to Phoenix, hopefully fully recovered and rested. It's been a rough year for William Sawalich, and you hate to see a guy go down with injury. Again, been a rough year, rough rookie season, not the season that I or a lot of people were expecting William Sawalich to have after dominating the ARCA Menard Series and doing pretty well in the Truck Series. So not what you want to see for William Sawalich. Hopefully he'll get better very, very soon. And I'm rooting for him to get back to full health in time for Phoenix. Now looking at the playoff standings, two Junior Motorsports teammates have locked themselves into the Championship 4 on points, them being Connor Zilisch and Justin Allgaier. While the two guys in on points currently right now, Jesse Love and Carson Kvapil both above the cut line. Jesse Love is 40 points above the cut line. I think realistically he can point his way in and clinch it after stage 1, I believe. Excuse me. Just had a little thing down my throat. Ooh, excuse me. Jesse Love, 40 points above. He can probably clinch that if he gets a top 10 in stage 1. He'll probably clinch himself in. And Carson Kvapil isn't entirely safe, but 11 points is a pretty nice cushion that he does have. Sammy Smith, 11 points below the cut line. He's the first guy out. Brandon Jones, the only remaining Toyota in the playoffs for the NASCAR Xfinity Series, 20 points out. Sam Mayer, 22 points out in the 41 car. And then Sheldon Creed, 41 points out in the last driver out. He will most likely need to win his way in. That's a pretty big gap for Sheldon Creed to make up. So winning is not really Sheldon Creed's specialty in his what is he? He's on year 3 or 4 now of being in the NASCAR Xfinity Series full time, and he hasn't won a race. So, there's no better time, I guess, for Sheldon Creed to get that first victory in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. But looking at the metrics, and just his history in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, 4 years, no wins. I don't know how likely it is that he'll win his way in to the Championship 4, especially what happened at Martinsville back in 2023 with his teammate of Austin Hill. For those of you guys who don't know, Austin Hill and Sheldon Creed both fighting for a spot in the Championship 4. Austin Hill dives it in deep on Sheldon Creed into turns 3 and 4. They're both in position to make the Final 4 on points. Hill breaks breaks checks Austin Hill and spins Hill out, breaks the radiator, and Creed loses the nose off turn 4 and allows Justin Allgaier to come off the corner and beat Creed to the line, denying Creed his first victory into the championship, first win in the Xfinity Series, and a spot in the Championship 4. And his teammate of Austin Hill does not make it either. And Creed got called out by Richard Childress, and an ugly kind of situation followed, and Creed lost his ride and ended up heading over to Joe Gibbs Racing in the 18 car. Sorry, I went on a little tangent there, but Martinsville, Creed, got me thinking of some really bad stuff. Don't remind me of last year's Cup Series race either. Oh boy. Before we move on to some more news, though, I have to talk about some other loose stories that I failed to mention in my race recap from the Talladega Round of 8 playoff race for the Cup Series. First off, I want to talk about Denny Hamlin real quick. I didn't mention this, I believe. He finished in 24th after locking himself in 2 weeks ago at Las Vegas with that victory. He's in the Championship 4, but Hamlin was running up front for a good majority of this race, actually led a couple laps, but actually kind of fell back because on a pit stop, his team actually had to go under the hood and repair the throttle body, I believe, because the throttle was kind of stuck in place and wouldn't let off. So Hamlin has been battling mechanical issues. I believe early in this race as well, he had some issues with the clutch, like the gear was the car was not shifting up into 5th gear, kind of slowed him down on the restarts. I believe that was only a one-time thing, and Hamlin only fell back that one time. So hopefully Hamlin can fix all these mechanical issues, because he had some mechanical issues at Las Vegas, I believe, or maybe the clutch issues was at Las Vegas. I think he had similar things actually to at Talladega. I don't think I'm actually kind of losing my mind here. I say that I might, but Hamlin, these issues got to stop. And I believe this was a couple years ago that Hamlin had similar kind of mechanical gremlins, and that cost him a spot in the championship four, like when he was battling Kevin Harvick. I believe that was in 2020. I should know this because I'm a Kevin Harvick fan, and that Martinsville race. Oh man, what is it with Martinsville and always messing with my head? Why? That really messed with me and really broke my heart then, I should say, when I rewatched that race, see Kevin Harvick spinning on that back straightaway to lose a spot. Oh boy, bad memories. Anyway, sum it all up, Hamlin, fix those mechanical gremlins, and you should be good at Phoenix. His teammate at Bell made the championship for 2023, I believe, and had a brake rotor fail on him in that race, and didn't win the championship that year. It went to Ryan Blaney. So, Joe Gibbs Racing, fix those mechanical issues if you want to compete, especially for Hamlin, because he wants to compete. I know that. One other thing is that Ty Dillon, oh my goodness, what is up with you? And what is up with Ty Dillon and pit road issues? During this race, Ty Dillon, under, I believe, a green, or I think it was a yellow flag stop, and he had the 21 of Josh Berry pitting in front of him. Josh Berry was undergoing like a long stop. There was making some adjustments under the car in the right rear, but there was a tire off sitting in his box, and Ty Dillon just straight up plows into that tire, ends up kind of having that tire kind of run over that crew member working under the car. And there was also another crew member for Josh Berry's team, like visibly standing in the way of Ty Dillon, like telling him, hey, go around me. I'm trying to protect my crew guy. But instead, Ty Dillon just straight up plows into that tire, which is clearly in the line of sight for Ty Dillon. It's not blocked by shade or anything, not blocked by the crew member, and just blatantly runs over it and makes a very dangerous situation. And this is 2 weeks in a row where Ty Dillon has had back-to-back coming to pit road and like pit road issues. Last week it was slowing up, pitting from the second lane, not giving a hand signal to William Byron, ends up having William Byron plow straight into the back of him. This week, Ty Dillon just runs over a tire and almost hurts a crew member, I dare say. That's like a very dangerous situation. So these last 2 weeks, I've not been impressed with Ty Dillon at all. And if Calling Racing is thinking with two heads, or at least with half a brain, I should say, they should probably be thinking about looking to get someone else in. They should bring Justin Haley in, because now he's out of ride. Bring Justin Haley in, for goodness sakes. At least a guy with some sense, and not Ty Dillon, who sometimes, I guess, doesn't have sense when he's driving on the racetrack. Jeez Louise. That's 2 weeks in a row now that I've had an angry Ty Dillon rant. I'm not a big fan of this. Ty, clean it up, man. I know your grandfather is Richard Childress, but we don't like nepotism in NASCAR, guys. And if you are adults and you're listening to this, you know that you probably don't like nepotism in business as much as anybody. And the same applies in NASCAR. You don't like nepotism. And Ty Dillon is The Bane of Nepotism by Richard Childress. Okay, I'm done ranting about Ty Dillon. I promise you're not going to hear any more about him for the rest of this episode. At least planned remarks about Ty Dillon in this episode. Moving on, sticking with the NASCAR Xfinity Series, Junior Motorsports announced that Ross Chastain and Shane Van Gisbergen both will be running partial schedules in the NASCAR Xfinity Series in the number 9 car, I guess the soon-to-be O'Reilly Series, the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. They will both be running partial schedules in that 9 car, kind of similar to this year, and I'm expecting more road courses for SVG and ovals for Ross Chastain. That's how it's going to be. In that same announcement, though, on the same day, I should say, Junior Motorsports announced that Raja Carruth will be running a partial schedule in the 88 car for Junior Motorsports. And a day later, Raja Carruth confirmed on a Twitch stream that he will be driving for Jordan Anderson Racing, also in the NASCAR Xfinity Series part-time, filling out a full-time season with the NASCAR O'Reilly Series. He will not be returning to Spire Motorsports full-time in that 71 truck. Speaking for Raja Carruth, I know I started this by talking about SVG and Chastain, but I mean, we know what Chastain and SVG are doing. It's to be an all-star for that NASCAR Xfinity Series team of Junior Motorsports, which I'm not complaining about. It's kind of the name of the game now. But for Raja Carruth, this is well-deserved in my opinion. We've seen what Raja Carruth has done so far in the NASCAR Truck Series this season, driving for a Spire Motorsports team that did not look as dominant as it did last year, and he's still holding a championship 4 position right now. And I feel like Raja Carruth, he's been good in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. Excuse me. Oh, man. Raja Carruth deserves a promotion at this point. He has done very well with, I would say, limited resources. So having Raja Carruth getting that promotion, I believe, is well earned. And expectations-wise, with Junior Motorsports, like top 10, like every week, top 15 at the bare minimum, I would say is a pretty solid expectation. Top 20 is like out the gate. Feel like is realistic, but I'm expecting slow and gradual improvement for Rajah Caruth, at least in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. And he's done well with Jordan Anderson Racing, in my opinion, in that 32 car. It's probably going to be part-time, probably like, I believe they say he's going to probably win like most of his races with Junior Motorsports, but he's going to fill up the rest of his schedule with Jordan Anderson Racing, so that's most likely it's what it's going to be. I do believe, though, he is eligible for the playoffs. I do think that's a thing, though. So he'll be full-time overall. He'll be eligible for the Rookie of the Year stuff, and I believe. And so then he'll be able to compete for a championship. So that's good. Hopefully Rajah can have a lot of success. But now for Junior Motorsports, their lineup, I would say, is a little weird, in my opinion. You're going to have the one car we already know is going to be Carson Kvapil and Connor Zilic, both in that one car. And you got Rodney Childers as well, being the crew chief for that car. I believe it's just those two splitting the ride. Maybe there's going to be one other guy thrown into the mix. You have Justin Allgaier sticking around that 7 car, Sammy Smith in the 8 car. The 9 car is going to be just a team that doesn't show up every week, but we'll have SVG and Daniel Suarez in it, or not Daniel Suarez, Ross Chastain in that car. And then you got the 88 for Rajah Caruth and possibly some other guys. So this is very interesting. I don't know what to make of this lineup right now. I wonder who's going to be in that 88 car. My guess, probably Corey Day, guy that needs some experience. Maybe some Hendrick guys, maybe like William Byron, Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott. I don't know. More information is said to be coming very, very soon. But if I had to guess, I'd probably say, in my opinion, it would probably be one of the Hendrick guys or Corey Day. Just makes sense in my opinion. Oh boy, we're already 30 minutes and I still got a couple of topics left to cover. If you're still sticking around to this point, thank you for sticking around because this is a long one and I really appreciate you guys. Moving on, Daniel Suarez has been officially announced to be the driver of the 7 car for Spire Motorsports in the NASCAR Cup Series. He will be replacing Justin Haley in that car for the 2026 season. I've made my opinions known on this kind of car. I think that having Daniel Suarez in that car is considerably much of a downgrade compared to Justin Haley. Ceiling-wise, I think that Justin Haley has a higher ceiling than Daniel Suarez, but to Daniel Suarez's credit, he has experience in the NASCAR Cup Series more than Justin Haley. He's a veteran of the sport, brings more consistent sponsorship with Freeway Insurance, which I'm sure is really a big kind of talker in this deal, in my opinion, which I really don't like, but I guess it makes sense business-wise. And for Spire Motorsports, I mean, money shouldn't be a problem, but I guess for them, money is a priority here. And also, to Daniel Suarez's credit, he does have 2 wins in the Cup Series to Justin Haley's 1 NASCAR Cup Series victory. And I think that Justin Haley should be in that car, but I guess it is what it is. Daniel Suarez is going to be in that car. Expectations for Daniel Suarez, I don't know. Like, I expect Daniel Suarez with that Spire team who, with Carson Hoswar and Michael McDowell, has been able to run top 20 most of the time. Like, I think that Daniel Suarez is probably going to be the 3rd Spire car, maybe competing with Michael McDowell at times, but now you got 2 road course racers with McDowell and Suarez both in those seats, so that'll be interesting to see nonetheless. So I guess just don't run last every week, which I don't expect Daniel Suarez to do unless he wrecks out, which in my opinion, Daniel Suarez is very good at keeping the car clean, but he's also very good at being aggressive at times. So he's a good mixture of both, I would say, Daniel Suarez is. I like Daniel Suarez. He's a great guy, really polite and really humble guy. Big brand, too. That's another thing that probably Spire Motorsports is looking at when choosing their options between Haley and Suarez. Branding, Suarez. Sponsorship, Suarez. Talent, I mean, you can give or take both sides. You can argue for both, but you could say Daniel Suarez has Justin Haley being in the big 3 categories for choosing a NASCAR Cup Series driver. So, but there you go. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Should Suarez be in this car? Should Haley be in this car? Should someone else be in this car? Let me know down in the comment section below. I'm very interested to know what you think. Moving on, we have to once again talk about the NASCAR antitrust case between 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports. And this latest update is about the settlement conference that took place this week that started on Tuesday, October 21st and concluded yesterday, Wednesday, October 22nd. a quick little recap of the circumstances leading up to this settlement little conference here. There was actually one prior to this a couple months ago between the teams and NASCAR, and I believe his name, the mediator was. It was Jeffrey Mishkin, a former NBA CLO for the NBA. But in this second settlement conference, it was both Jeffrey Mishkin and Judge Kenneth Bell, the judge that has been presiding over this case for over a year now. So, Judge Bell, if you somehow end up hearing this, thank you so much for stepping in and being the one that has to deal with this malarkey, in my opinion, because this is honestly getting ridiculous at this point, how long this antitrust case is going on. But overall, this settlement conference was the really big first step in settlement since at least a couple months ago when the first settlement conference came around, and unfortunately no settlement came to be, and the teams and NASCAR did come to some pretty overall really polite conversations from what I'm hearing, but no settlement was made in this case. Judge Bell was very complimentary of the teams in NASCAR for their being polite in this case, and recently it has not been very polite between the two parties. And yet earlier this morning on Thursday, both representatives from the teams and NASCAR appeared in court for a hearing for the summary judgment motions that included one to define NASCAR's market of operation as a quote-unquote premier stock car racing organization. The second motion was the motion that the team or NASCAR made on March 5th, the countersuit aimed at 2311 Racing co-owner Curtis Polk, and it was aimed at quote they quote embarked on a strategy to threaten, coerce, and extort NASCAR into meeting their demands for better contract and financial terms. And the other one was another summary judgment motion from NASCAR that would throw out the entire lawsuit that came out on October 2nd that would hopefully rule in NASCAR's favor. Judge Kenneth Bell did not make a ruling on any of these requests today, but a decision will be made before trial on December 1st, and that's where this lawsuit is going to be heading. At this point, we are looking at, in about a month, a little over a month, I should say, at the time of recording, this case, the antitrust case between NASCAR and the teams, will be moving to trial on December 1st. And I have a couple more thoughts on this, and there's some news that came out from Front Row Motorsports today that kind of feed into my thoughts on this, so I'll save those for then. But until then, I want to read a quote from Jeffrey Kessler, the team's attorney. He made a statement on the matter. He said, quote, "My client's goal has always been to provide opportunities for growth and stability for every team, and they remain steadfast advocates for a fairer, stronger sport. Today's hearing confirmed the facts of NASCAR's monopolistic practices and showed NASCAR for who they are, retaliatory bullies who would rather focus on personal attacks and distract from the facts. My clients have never been more united and committed to ensuring a fair and competitive sport for all teams, partners, drivers, and fans. We're going to trial to hold NASCAR accountable." Now, I will say this probably does sound very similar to previous quotes from Jeffrey Kessler, in my opinion at least, pretty much repeating what they've said pretty much this entire time, so nothing new from me, but these are pretty bold statements. We are going to trial to hold NASCAR accountable. Pretty bold statements from Jeffrey Kessler, in my opinion now. Jeffrey Kessler, if you aren't aware, former attorney, the guy that actually was able to get NIL money approved in the NCAA. He was the one that spearheaded that little lawsuit in the NCAA parts of things. Sorry, I'm not very good with coming up with adjectives to describe things, so that's coming through in this episode. So Jeffrey Kessler has no shortage of experience when it comes to this kind of law and this discourse. Again, lack of adjectives, guys. Now, moving on to the announcement from Front Row Motorsports that was made today, Zane Smith actually announced that he has signed a multi-year contract extension with Front Row Motorsports to remain in the 38 car for years to come. Ryan Briganti, his crew chief, will also be sticking around to crew chief Zane Smith. Zane Smith is obviously in his first season returning to Front Row Motorsports, the team that he won his Truck Series championship with a couple years ago. Last year, in his rookie year, actually was with Trackhouse Racing, but was driving for Spire Motorsports in the 71 car. This season, moved over to Front Row Motorsports after Trackhouse kind of dumped him for Shane Van Gisbergen. And Zane Smith this season, he's been a little inconsistent. For a little bit of stretch of time, kind of wasn't always there, but when he's run good, and obviously he's kind of getting some highlights now because he did the wall ride at Kansas a couple weeks ago. If you didn't see that, if you haven't, just look up Zane Smith wall ride at Kansas, and you'll find it pretty easily. Now, the thing that really makes me look at this and kind of ponder this a little bit more is that Front Row Motorsports, again, is locked in this lawsuit with NASCAR alongside 2311 Racing. Front Row Motorsports has all their drivers under contract for at least next season. Noah Gragson signed a multi-year contract extension when he joined this team to drive the 4-car. Todd Gilliland signed a multi-year contract extension when Front Row Motorsports chose him over Zane Smith back in, I think it was 2023 that he signed this extension for 2024 and 25 and possibly 2026. And now Zane Smith has got a multi-year deal at least through 2027. This has me thinking that Front Row Motorsports would not be doing this if they were not confident they were going to win this lawsuit. And the reason might be because they may have the leverage now. The teams may have the leverage over NASCAR. NASCAR has been very vocal about not wanting to have their private business affairs and business records exposed to the public, and going to trial would do that. And I really thought that this settlement conference would really strike a deal between the teams and NASCAR, because NASCAR doesn't want their private business records out in the public, and the teams don't want to lose their charters. Instead, they want permanent charters for all of NASCAR, along with more money and more splits of the media revenues deal that NASCAR signs. So that's my little political spiel, I guess, if you want to call it. The politics of NASCAR, I like to call it. All this business stuff and the antitrust stuff. The politics of NASCAR. I might be coining that phrase. But you guys are going to have to let me know down in the comment section below. Is the lawsuit starting to shift towards the teams, or do you think NASCAR still has all the leverage? Let me know down in the comment section below what you think. And one final silly season story to wrap up this episode, at least on the news side of things. Nice Motorsports announced that Landon Lewis will run a partial Truck Series schedule with the team in 2026. And you might be thinking here, Andrew, what does a partial Truck Series schedule have to do with anything? And the reason for that is that Landon Lewis has gotten a lot of support from its distinguished NASCAR drivers and NASCAR people, I should say. Example, Kevin Harvick and NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series champion Ron Hornaday. Landon Lewis is only 19 years old. He's a very successful Cars Tour Late Model Series champion, signed by Nice Motorsports, obviously, and he's gotten support from Kevin Harvick, Ron Hornaday, like I've already said, and Kevin Harvick had to say about him, quote, just to give you some kind of idea of the kind of things that people are saying about him. He said, quote, I just don't think there are many kids that are left like Landon. When you look at his work ethic, determination, and ability, and the sacrifices that he makes with his time, it's contagious. It attracts people to him, it attracts sponsors, and it attracts everybody to want to support him. We had no intention of running our car full time, but with who he is as a person, we were like, hey, we need to give him this opportunity, and it led to the next one. And I think from the outside looking in, the things I hear from Cody Affaw and Ross Chastain, this is a great fit for him. The quality of people and the approach that is the same from Nice Motorsports and Landon Lewis. I'm looking forward to seeing the combination. Now, Kevin Harvick, my favorite driver, seems like he's very complimentary of Landon Lewis, and he would know because Kevin Harvick, again, owns a team in the late model series, and I guess Landon Lewis was the guy that was running that car more often. Landon Lewis was so good, I guess, that Kevin Harvick wanted to have that car full time for Landon Lewis, which is insane. Ron Hornaday echoed those quotes, saying, quote, nobody deserves this opportunity with Nice Motorsports more than Landon. He's worked hard his tail off to get here, and I couldn't be happier for him. You don't see too many drivers come along that have his level of talent, focus, and competitive fire. It's a heck of a combination. He found a lot of success in the late models this year, and there's no doubt he'll continue that into the Truck Series with Nice. Again, very complimentary, and I'm very excited too. Like, just hearing that makes me very excited to see Landon Lewis out on track. Cody Affaw, the CEO of Nice Motorsports, also made a statement. He said, quote, we have always tried to find the next young talent who we think is a future star in the sport. Landon Lewis is just that. He's been on our radar for a couple years now, and we have quietly watched him grow into a well-rounded driver who shines in any vehicle he gets to. I think of guys like Ross Chastain and Carson Hocevar, who both made the most of their opportunity with our team, and it's showing on Sundays. To us, we think Landon has the opportunity to put our team back into the spotlight as a threat week in and week out. I think with mentors like Kevin Harvick and Ron Hornaday in his corner, combined with our team, Landon definitely has a bright future ahead of him. And I like how Cody Aflaw kind of referenced Hocevar and Chastain, two very quality Cup Series drivers. Both guys, in my opinion, very similar in driving style, Chastain and Hocevar. If you watch on Sundays like I do, you might understand it a little bit more. But Landon Lewis hopefully doesn't develop on that path, but I agree. Kevin Harvick, Ron Hornaday, that's quite a good amount of mentors behind him. Those are quality mentors, especially for Ron Hornaday stepping into the Truck Series with Landon. Oh, yeah, or especially with Ron Hornaday's experience. For Landon, this is definitely very, very good. I guess you could say, in all, the goal of me talking about this here is that, hey, I kind of hyped this kid up right when he was getting there. Like, when he got his first opportunity, I was there for Landon Lewis. I was the one that kind of called it and, like, kind of hyped him up like anybody else, like more than anybody else, I should say. You guys are going to have to let me know down in the comments, though. Am I overhyping Landon Lewis too early? Let me know down in the comment section below. But gee whiz, 45 minutes at this point. Again, if you've been listening, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. To wrap up this episode, I'm going to give you a little bit more of a treat. How about my power rankings as the the dessert, the cherry on top of this episode? If you don't know my power rankings, every week I rank the top 10 fastest drivers and teams in the NASCAR Cup Series. It's always so tough to rank them after Talladega Super Speedway, but let's see where your favorite driver ended up. Starting off here at number 10, I have Joey Logano. Even though he didn't have the desired outcome at Talladega, kind of lost all his points at the end, for a little bit, Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney were kind of dominating that race, but late in the race, they lost their control on the top lanes, on the front two lanes, I should say, so Logano and Blaney could not work their way back forward. They'd lost their advantage. Now Logano finds himself in a must-win scenario, along with his teammate of Ryan Blaney. The good news is, they're heading to a short flat oval in Martinsville, where they've been very good at. If Penske can just fire off with really good speed there at Martinsville, like Ryan Blaney has done, which we'll get to in a little bit, Penske should be good, and so should Joey Logano. So I have Logano at 10, but he's right on the cups of being outside the top 10. At number 9, I have Chase Elliott, the biggest faller in this episode, down 4 spots. Chase Elliott did not have a good day. He finished last after wrecking out in that early Stage 1 wreck, got involved in that, just not what he needed. He now also finds himself in a must-win scenario. But the good news, again, for Chase Elliott, he's been very good at Martinsville these last couple of years. I believe he's led laps in almost every single NASCAR Cup Series Martinsville race. He's been very good there, and Hendrick Motorsports has been as well. So Elliott, must-win scenario, but this is a track for him to get it done. Chase Elliott at 9. Moving on to number 8, I have Brad Keselowski. Keselowski quietly has had really good finishes over the last couple weeks. Now, do I see this success carrying over into Martinsville? Maybe not. I see most of the top 10 being filled up by playoff drivers, but Keselowski was pretty solid at New Hampshire, so anything can happen at a short flat oval, and Martinsville is a short flat oval like New Hampshire. Keselowski's been getting, I think, top 10 results along with his teammate Chris Buescher very consistently over the last 3 weeks. So Brad Keselowski and RFK, same with Ryan Preece and Buescher, very consistent over the last couple weeks. Moving on to number 7, though, I have Keselowski's teammate Chris Buescher. Speak of the devil. Again, very consistent. Chris Buescher has been over the last couple weeks. Got a top 10 at Talladega, I believe. Ran up inside the top 15 pretty much all day, along with Keselowski and Preece. Chris Buescher's been so consistent all year long, and just wasn't good enough to get in the playoffs, but he's been really consistent as of late. So Buescher at 7. Moving on to number 6, I have Ryan Blaney. Now, like his Penske teammates of Berry, Cindric, and Logano, Blaney did not have the desired day that he needed. Running out back early did not really give him much to work with, and late in the going, him and Logano lost their advantage on the pack, fell back, and couldn't get back up to the front. Blaney now finds himself in a must-win scenario. The good thing for Blaney, though, especially for at least most of these bottom playoff guys, Blaney won this race back in 2023 to advance to the Championship 4, and he won this race last year as well. So Blaney knows how to get it done in the round of 8 at Martinsville, so never count out the 12 driver Ryan Blaney heading into Martinsville. So Blaney at 6. Moving on to number 5, I have William Byron, up 2 spots to number 5. Byron, along with his teammate of Larson, both were running up front, and late in the going, were leading that inside lane. Larson and Byron were, until Larson ran out of fuel and Byron kind of got stacked up on that bottom lane and eventually got spun out by Carson Hocevar. But Byron, Las Vegas was the first race that he actually looked really good at. He led laps since Iowa a couple weeks ago, and in the round of 12 and the early stages of the round of 8, Byron has started to pick up the steam a little bit. However, he does come in a must-win scenario. In fact, all the guys below the playoff cut line need to win their way in at this point. So Byron won the spring race early in the year at Martinsville, but he's going to need to do it again. And after last year's controversy at Martinsville, don't remind me of that. Byron needs a lot to go his way and doesn't need Christopher Bell and the Toyotas to kind of cheat their way to it. Total not Chevy bias, by the way. So William Byron at 5, and I have Christopher Bell at 4. Funny how I kind of have this. Byron advanced to the championship 4 last year. Bell did not. What irony, I guess, in my opinion. But Christopher Bell, similar to Ryan Blaney, won this race back in 2022 to give him a spot in the championship 4 back in 2022, the first year of the next-gen car, by the way. So Bell knows how to get it done. He's been very good at Martinsville in the past. This year for Gibbs, they haven't been quite as good on the short flat ovals. I point to New Hampshire, where Bell was the best guy out of the Gibbs camp, but wasn't really the best car all day. So that does worry me a little bit. But Bell does have a spot currently in the championship 4. It would probably have to take a winner below the cut line for him to be out, and then he'd have to battle with Kyle Larson. And there's only 2 points separating those two, so keep an eye out for that battle heading into Martinsville. And speaking of Kyle Larson, I have him at number 3. Similar to all the guys that in his team, the Hendrick camp, Larson has been very good at Martinsville. Maybe not as good as Byron or Elliott, but Larson has been very, very good. At Talladega, actually had one of his better races, but ran out of fuel at the end of the race. Wasn't actually one of the storylines I forgot to mention today and in my episode about Talladega a couple days ago, but Cliff Daniels said that they had the car full of field and were good for a 1 overtime restart, but I guess Cliff Daniels didn't check his math. But barring fuel strategy, Kyle Larson ran one of his best Talladega races that I've seen in a little bit, I would say. I mean, the spring Talladega race was pretty good. He actually won a stage, and same for Atlanta. So Kyle Larson's been good against super speedway, so I feel like moving him up makes a little bit of sense. But I did have to move him down actually 2 spots. I'm looking at it here. He moved down 2 spots, so to number 3. But Kyle Larson, very good. He's at number 3. Moving on to number 2, I have Denny Hamlin sticking it out at number 2. I know he didn't have the best finishing result at Talladega, battled some mechanical issues, and that might be cause for concern and cause for me to move him down 1 spot, but Hamlin locked himself into the championship 4, and he's riding a wave of momentum. He had some good speed at Talladega, just some unfortunate issues once again took him out of it. So Hamlin at 2 feels pretty good for right here. Heading into Martinsville, Hamlin's pretty good at Martinsville, but again, the Gibbs cars have not been as good at Martinsville and the short flat ovals as they've been in years past, so that's something to keep an eye out for, but he's locked in, so it's all good. Moving on, though, to number 1, I have Chase Briscoe. Obviously, he won Talladega and several times was able to march his way up through the field after errors on pit road, and we've talked about it in this entire season, and I guess it's kind of something that's been overlooked, but Chase Briscoe's gotten a lot of criticism, and he's been like, oh, Chase Briscoe? Man, why did you pick him to be in the championship for? It's his first year at Gibbs. Can he live up to the hype of replacing a Hall of Famer Martin Truex Jr.? But safe to say Chase Briscoe is doing that. He's top 4 in the Big 4 categories. He leads the sport in top 5s in the Cup Series. He's tied for 4th with the most wins with 3. So Chase Briscoe's done a very good job. I believe he's top 5 in laps led as well, top 5 in top 10s as well. And that's a really good sentence, top 5 in top 10s, if you know what I mean. You get that joke. Briscoe's done an amazing job, and Talladega is proof of that. Locked himself into the championship 4. Briscoe 100% deserves to be back inside the top spot at my power rankings after Talladega. So there you go. Those are my power rankings after Talladega. Once again, they are Chase Briscoe at number 1, Denny Hamlin at 2, Kyle Larson at 3, Christopher Bell at 4, William Byron at 5, Ryan Blaney at 6, Chris Buescher at 7, Brad Keselowski at 8, Chase Elliott at 9, and Joey Logano rounding out the top 10 at 10. So there you go. Let me know down in the comments who should be on this list, who should be off this list. Let me know where your favorite driver ended up, and do you agree with that? I'm very interested to know what you think about this edition of Power Rankings heading into Martinsville, the round of 8 cutoff race. But that'll wrap it up here in this episode, everybody. If you made it to this point in the episode, if you made it to the outro, thank you so much for listening to this absolutely gargantuan of an episode. Thank you all so much once again, and thank you for sticking with me after being away for a couple days. Hope you enjoyed this episode, everybody. If you missed my Talladega race review, go check that out. That's my last episode. It's much shorter than this one, by 20 minutes, so that'll save you about 20 minutes. So this will be a good car ride podcast for you guys to listen to, so hope you enjoy that if you're into that kind of thing. Thank you once again for listening. If you haven't checked out any of my other episodes on this show, go check it out. Go check out Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew, the other show I do on YouTube and podcasting as well. Just talk about sports overall, not just NASCAR. So if you're interested in sports more than just NASCAR, go check out that show as well. I highly recommend it. On the YouTube side of things, I do have a quick announcement. I moved all the content of Talking NASCAR over to a second channel that I have instead of being it on the Talking Sports channel. So if you missed that, go search up Talkin with an apostrophe NASCAR W Andrew Volkman on YouTube. You should find it pretty easily. I got over 60 episodes uploaded there. So that's all the content there. It's no longer on the Talking Sports with Miles and Andrew channel. It's on a separate channel, its own channel. So go check that out if you're searching for that stuff on YouTube. And it's in the same spot on all the other podcast platforms. So you can find it there pretty easily. But I will see you very, very soon, everybody. And thank you for listening to this one. And I'll be back very, very soon with another episode. Have a great rest of your day. Great rest of your week, everybody. Stay safe. Have a great rest of your night. I don't know how to do these outros anymore, guys. Bye.